The 2021 May Virtual Southern Conference. Next Gen Tennis with Devin Crotzer.
It's my pleasure to introduce Devin Crotzer. He's an outstanding college player at Cumberland University, is a USPTA and PTR Pro, also certified by the ITPA and recognized as a high-performance coach by the USTA. He's been coaching 13 years, beginner-level players all the way through professional-level players. He's currently at Bluegrass Country Club in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and he has a passion for grassroots tennis. And I give you Devin Crotzer.
Thank you, Kevin. It's going to be tough to follow up the legendary Dick Stockton and Tommy Wade, but I'm going to give it a go. My presentation is finding ways to connect and motivate the next generation of your workforce and students. And there we go. So really what we're going over is kind of millennials and Gen Z. Millennials are kind of born from 1980 to 1995. You can see from their age, they're anywhere from 25 to 41. And this is kind of our current workforce and kind of our newer client. They were shaped by 9/11 and the 2008 recession. And they're part of the social media and kind of the rise of technology. They carry a ton of debt, but they love to have a lot of experiences on and off the court. And then our current client, junior client, is Gen Z. You can see that they're born from 1996 to 2015. The age is from anywhere from 6 to 24. They're partially shaped by 2008. Some say that their defining moment will be this COVID-19, because as you guys know, this past year, we've seen a ton of change, whether it's been the workforce or how we play sports. They really value making an impact, and they care a lot about their internet image. For those of you that have kids at home, they probably spend a lot of time on their screens. These things that they go through, that kind of molds their behavior patterns and affect the way they spend their money and time. As we now know, we're not just competing against the most popular sports. We are now competing against everything to attract employees or students to the game that we love. I myself am a millennial. I was born in 1991. I've held 12 positions across 4 different industries. I've done sales, operations management, plant engineering, and obviously tennis. I fit most of the stereotypes, so as I was studying all this stuff, I had to laugh at myself. This has led me to kind of study this generational shift and ask the question, why does my generation seemingly quit or move on so fast? And what are we looking for? It's almost as if we seem like the grass is greener on the other side. So let's take a look at where their attention is. Have any of you guys noticed some of the job hopping within your circle? How they may be there for a year or two and then they're gone to another place? You guys find it hard to get your juniors to focus on drills without massive gamification? Or how many times have you guys heard a junior talk about a video game, a TikTok, or a YouTube they just watched? For me, that last one is a daily occurrence where kids are always talking about the latest trends and they always say, did you see that video? Well, because of all the social media and all the things that are on the internet, we now know that almost 49% of millennials want to quit their job within 2 years because they aren't happy with their current situation. We know that the average attention span for millennials and Gen Z is 8 to 12 seconds. Okay? 8 to 12 seconds. I've already spoken for about 3 minutes here, so I've probably lost any millennial or Gen Z that's watching right now. Many of the obstacles that coaches face with juniors is a lack of commitment and willingness to work hard. Most kids spend on average 6 to 9 hours on their screens. The average video posted online is only 60 seconds. These are how kids are learning nowadays. They're learning via YouTube. They're learning via TikTok. And in 2019, the Arthur Ashe Stadium held the Fortnite video game championship, and the payout for that was more than the US Open. With all these things going on, many of them don't believe they have to work traditional jobs or even do traditional activities. Heroes are now startup moguls, YouTubers, and TikTokers. Even with all these obstacles, racket sports can embrace the change and be successful in retention and growth. Let's take a deeper look at some of the challenges we face with employees and sometimes students. Let's take a look at why they leave first. Some of these characteristics will go back and forth, but I'm going to try to show you what GMs and directors need to look for and what coaches need to look for in the nuances of this younger generation. So let's take a look at why employees leave. Number one is compensation. This is a large factor of why they go. They feel like they can get paid somewhere else a little bit more. And millennials are more open to talking about pay than any generation previously. So they know what everyone's getting and they're able to compare their pay to other people's pay. Another one is lack of career advancement, not seeing the full picture of where they start and where they can end up. If they don't know where to go, they'll probably leave. Another reason they leave is lack of professional development. Many of you on this call right now are getting more professional development as each speaker comes on. A lot of organizations don't offer this the same way that the USPTA does. I'm thankful to be a part of an organization that really pushes professional development. Let's take a look at why they stay. Gen Z will be the Gen Z will be the most diverse generation in history. So really they're trying to look for a place where they feel at home. Alan Jensen will be speaking on diversity later in the week, and I'm really excited to learn more about that. They also stay if they have a pathway for development, meaning if they know where they can start and they have the training to get to where they want to go, they'll most likely stay with that company. Another reason they stay is they want to make an impact. A lot of Gen Zs and millennials feel like making an impact in their industry or their job is more important than pay. Sharing this knowledge with younger employees on the different aspects of our industry, like sales, manufacturing, stringing, all of this will help them stay in our industry. It goes much, much further than just teaching a lesson on the court. A lot of them define success as leaving a mark, so trying to take a look at your pathways with your workers will help keep them around. Let's take a deeper look at what they want. Communication. As I went over in the previous slide, their attention spans are rather short. So due to that short attention span, you want to be short and direct with your communication. Whether it's on court or whether it's off court, you don't want to lose their attention span. On court, I would say that if your message isn't in less than 60 seconds, just like the videos they're consuming online, you'll probably lose those kids. Another great way to effectively communicate with this younger generation on the court is to create videos of technique or tactics or even drills that you want to show the kids. They're already doing this, and Deloitte did a study that found that 85% of Gen Zers watch a video on a new skill weekly. So if you have the ability to create these short videos for your Gen Zers, your younger kids, remember that's your junior client, if you have the ability to create these videos, post it up for them to watch, whether it's a simple drill or a simple tip on their forehand, they're already used to consuming their media this way, and your message will probably stick. For GMs and directors, the communication gap is pretty frustrating with this younger generation because they do not email and they really don't do face-to-face communication extremely well. You're starting to see even larger companies like Taco Bell and McDonald's use text messaging to onboard their employees because they were getting a horrible response via email. So if you're a GM or a director, take a look at your communication pathways with your employees to see if it's effective for that group. There's an app called Slack that kind of works as like a message thread. And that's what a lot of startup companies are using to actually engage their employees and get them to communicate back and forth. It's a little more fun than an email thread. Communicating your roles and your expectations with both players and your employees is extremely important with this generation. They really will work hard, but they have to know what they're working for and what the end goal is. It's almost like kind of having a no hidden fees approach to it. They love constant feedback because it really mimics their social media, and they expect constant feedback, whether it's negative or positive. They respond extremely well to that. So what I would recommend doing is taking a look at your communication pathways and seeing if it's short and direct or if there are other avenues you can use that might keep your employee more engaged. The next thing I want to look at is transparency. Transparency is key for GMs and directors to build trust. Your workforce is constantly comparing their situations to their friends' situations online. They're always looking at their friends posting stuff online, and because their friends are posting only the best stuff that's happening, they only see the best. So being transparent about the good and the bad builds trust and will keep your people around a lot longer. When I receive a new client, I always want to make sure I know what the parents' goals are, what the juniors' goals are, and sometimes they don't align, but if you're open and honest up front, you're more likely to retain that person. Adecco research says that 79% of Gen Zers believe they can find a new job within 5 months. Okay, couple this with the leading cause for job hopping, which is compensation. You really don't want to shy away from pay. Like I said previously, millennials are very open about talking about pay. So in the hiring process, make sure you're open about it and you tell them, hey, this is what it is, because a lot of millennials and Gen Zers alike, they will take the bad with the good if you're open and honest up front. It's extremely important to them. And make sure that you can map out a plan, your 1-year plan to your 3-year plan, and do whatever it takes to budget out time or money to help your employees or your students develop the skills that they want to get to their goals. This will show them that you care about them and that you acknowledge what they're trying to do. That brings me to the next point, which is care and acknowledgement. I actually have a story. I learned this one the hard way. I had a client a few years back. She was 17 years old and she was looking to start tennis. It was during the springtime, so she missed making the varsity squad. And I told the mom that I really didn't have a class for her, but I did have a middle school class she could come to if she absolutely wanted to. The mother told me that, yeah, that would be fine, that the girl would love to just get any court time at all. So I brought this 17-year-old girl out with my 12 and 13-year-olds. She drove herself to clinic, which already shocked all the younger kids. She came out on the court. She seemingly had a great time, and then she came back again. She came to 3 or 4 classes, and the last class she went home in tears, and the mother called me and said she had a horrific time and that she didn't want to come back. And I said, well, can you tell me why? It wasn't that she lost. It wasn't that she was the oldest in the group. It wasn't that she wasn't improving. The thing that stuck with me is that I failed to acknowledge her in that last class. I didn't give her as many tips as I gave her in the previous one. And she said, he doesn't care about me, Mom. I don't want to go back. It really threw me for a loop, because if I was 17 years old in the middle school class, I probably wouldn't enjoy that class anyway. But it really wasn't about that. It was about the care she was receiving in the class. And so that really stuck with me. And it really wasn't about what I was working on or her level. It was the care, which this Theodore Roosevelt quote on the slide, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, couldn't be more true for that situation. So in 2014, George Washington did a study, and children listed the top 5 characteristics of a great coach. Respect and encouragement came in at number 1. Respecting your player can go it can go in a myriad of different ways, but showing care can be simple, like asking how school went or asking how their hobbies went. For that particular girl, it was simple as saying, great shot, or maybe you should work on the grip on your backhand. An easy way to quickly connect and show that you care with this younger generation is just simply asking what video game they're playing right now or who their favorite YouTuber is. They love talking about the things that they love doing outside of the court. And when you do this, you create a different connection with them, and it shows that you care. 55% of Gen Z want one-on-one positive encouragement at least once a week, while 30% want it daily. It's important to create a constant feedback loop, because that's what they're used to getting online. They are all the time posting something and getting instant likes or dislikes. So creating that feedback loop for them is what they crave. A simple recognition after a good shot, or even after your employee teaches a class, goes a long way. I myself am absolutely thrilled when my director gives me a compliment after I complete a class. It could be something as simple as, I really liked your energy in cardio tennis, or I really loved how you connected with the red ballers. Even when you do this with students, it might instill in them that same behavior for the next class going forward. So make sure that you have a constant feedback loop and show your employees and your students both that you care and that you acknowledge them. Now, acknowledgement can be different things. I think the elephant in the room for this generation is the participation trophy. Now, I know that there's some people for participation trophies and some people after participation trophies, but I think this next slide will show something interesting. This is that 2014 Georgetown study, and this was really to focus on what kids want out of their sport experience. If you notice number 67 in less fun, it's earning medals and trophy. So that's not really a big deal about what the kids want. It's really more about some other things. And so here at the club, we currently have 3 clients that I have an interesting fact to tell you about them. They all 3 quit their sport. One was a gymnast. She was a level 9 gymnast. And to my knowledge, I think it goes up to level 10 and then you're an Olympian. So that's an incredible feat in itself to make it to a level 9 gymnast. The other 2 were cheerleaders, and both of them placed 3rd nationally in one of their competitions. Now, it wasn't a surprise to me that they quit their sport because over 70% of kids quit their sport by the age of 13. What really made it interesting was why they quit. And so I asked them separately, I said, why did you leave the sport at such a high level? They all came back with the same answer, which was simply put, I didn't have enough free time to do what I really wanted to do. I had no social life, and all I saw was my friends on Snapchat and Instagram, and they were constantly hanging out, and they were having fun, and I felt like I was missing out. All 3 kids were competing at the highest level. I don't know about you coaches, but I would love to work with a player who's ranked 3rd nationally, but I would also be extremely sad to see them go for the reasons that these kids left their sports at the highest level. So if you look at this 2014 study that Georgetown did, the top 6 things like trying your best when the coach treats players with respect, getting playing time, getting along with your teammates, exercising and being active, a lot of these things can be done in tennis without ever playing a tournament. They can be done in-house. They can be done socially without ever traveling. The thing that I found interesting was the less fun part. It's less of a priority to win. It came in at 48. Playing in tournaments was 63. Traveling to new places and play was 73. And I 100% agree with number 81. Getting pictures taken is not fun. No one likes picture day. However, when I looked at the more fun stuff, I found that tennis could really, really cater to the top 6. So I really didn't know this until I read this, that we can do a lot of stuff in-house and engage our students and give them a sport for lifetime without ever having them travel. You're always going to have the competitive kids that love to travel and love to work with specialty coaches, but you have a bunch of kids in the grassroots program that just want a chance or an opportunity to play. This brings me kind of to the next thing of how racket sports can win the student. It's very important to us that we have students that continuously play. Number 1 for me is communication. Coaches have to make their communication short and simple. If they do this, they're going to capture the attention of the athlete. The other way, which is a big one that I'm going to start tomorrow, is creating videos. They're already doing this in other aspects of their life. If they're watching videos, they're trying to either learn something or they're just trying to relax and have a good time. But either way, my director and myself, we want to create these videos so that the kids can go back and watch it and either learn a tactic, learn a simple tip on their forehand, or just learn how to grip a racket. Another way we can really win students is push our social play. We have a lot of fun formats, whether it's timed or short formats. My director and I ran a parent-child tournament, and I asked the kids, and they absolutely loved it. And it was just social play for 2 hours on a Saturday morning. Just so happened to be it was Mother's Day, so I'm sure all the moms enjoyed spending time with their kids on the tennis court. And the second one is just play opportunities. We know all the play opportunities that are out there for both the adult clients and the junior clients. We know that there are flex leagues. We know that there's team tennis and leagues and everything available for our clients. But the biggest thing I've learned is that they don't know, and they don't know where to find that information. So make sure that when you're trying to win these students, that you really push hard all the different types of play, because one thing might fit their schedule, which brings me to the next thing. This is a gym for racket sports. We can be flexible with the crazy COVID schedule and everything else, and everybody working from home and dealing with kids. It's very important that our clients know that the schedule can be flexible. They can play anytime, anywhere. And so it's very important to kind of push these things that are buzzwords for people to get them inside the sport. So one thing I would recommend is when you're making info sheets or anything like that, make sure you over communicate to your clients and talk to them and see what they want. A lot of kids love in-house play, and I've had the opportunity to travel around the state of Tennessee and talk to various pros, and a lot of them aren't running competitive tournaments as much as they're running in-house play, whether it's level-based with UTR or the world tennis number coming out for USTA. They're trying to give more opportunities for their players just to get out and play. My last thing is how racket sports can win the workforce. This is a tough one, but I feel like we can be in a great spot to hire people in and keep them in the industry. Most younger generations say that a flexible schedule is more important than pay. We do have flexible hours in the tennis industry. There's always some downtime. And when you're onboarding employees, make sure you let them know that there are flexible times in the day or the weekend where they can go and explore their hobbies or just take care of chores. This isn't a 9-to-5 job that we all know. We typically work holidays and weekends, and we can work some off hours. However, if you staff your program right, you can have these flexible hours that offer the employees something that they crave. The next thing, which I like, is making a difference or an impact. 44% of millennials said their biggest sign of success was having a career that they're passionate about, while 36% said that their biggest indicator of success was making a difference. I'm sure all of us have stories about making a difference or an impact in their community. I myself enjoy working with the people I work with. When my junior kids graduate, I typically get letters from them, and they're always thankful of the work that I did for them. And it really makes me happy to see these kids grow up. I know that I'm fairly young in the industry, and I can't imagine having 30 years in this industry and watching people grow up and then bringing their kids back to you. But this is a huge, huge thing for millennials and Gen Z. They're always looking for a difference or a job that creates an impact. You see a lot of activism in the younger generation, and I think that tennis can strike. They can strike that heart chord with them. Even though we're just tennis coaches, we can make a huge difference in your community. Another one is they're very entrepreneurial. This younger generation, they want to be their own boss, and Inc. said that 61% of college students would prefer to be entrepreneurs rather than employees. So tennis is building your own brand. We see it with a lot of things that are going on now. I see every day something new popping up. Somebody's creating a new system, or somebody is, selling what they believe is the best way to create a junior player or an adult player. So for me, tennis has a lot of different roads and avenues that they can go down, and they can really feel like an entrepreneur when they're out on the court. Even if they're at a large club or Parks and Recs where they're not in charge, they're still in control of their court, and they're in control of their image, which is a huge thing with social media. Another great thing about tennis is that we have a gig economy. So the gig economy is something like DoorDash or Uber, and a lot of younger generations are flocking to this work because it can be something they do outside of their full-time job. So I've heard that, they love to get paid every day. And that's why they do some of these different jobs, because one, it's flexible, and two, they can make pay when they want to make pay. Now, where tennis can really work its way into gig economy is that some pros and some facilities, they don't need full-time work. They can use these part-time flexible hours to get some of these guys into the industry. Marketo says that 76% of Gen Zers wish their hobbies could be full-time jobs. So one way to get employees in is to offer them some part-time spots on a Saturday, or maybe it's a Thursday night cardio class. Get them involved part-time and let them grow into the industry and see if they like it. I played for a small college, Cumberland University. It's NAIA. My senior year, we had 8 people on the roster. Of those 8 people, 4 of us are full-time coaches. The other 3 coached at some point, and the last one just got a job right out of college and never dabbled in coaching. But of my 8, 7 of us actually coached tennis at some point, and we were in the industry, and 4 of us still are. So I really feel like when we're trying to win the workforce with the younger generation, we have to connect with them in a different way. They don't want to work a 9-to-5. That's not what we offer. They want to make a difference or an impact. We can absolutely offer that to them. They want to be entrepreneurial and be their own boss. Well, they're in control of their own court. They love getting paid every day. They love the gig economy. We eat what we kill in this industry. It's amazing. And the last one is passion project. If they really truly want to be a part of a job that's their passion, I myself have a huge passion for tennis. A lot of my teammates did too. That's why we stayed in the industry, and that's why we love it so much. I feel like if we can position ourselves and really push for the things they want, we can really be an industry that captures the workforce and that gets these students involved. Obviously, you can tell I'm pretty passionate about this generational stuff, and I love it because, one, I am young, but the reason I kept bouncing around from job to job and looking for things is because I wanted this stuff. And truthfully, about 2 years ago, I tried to leave tennis because I felt like I needed to go and get a corporate job, and I absolutely hated every second of it. And the 2 things I missed the most was making the difference or the impact in the community, and I felt like I was a cog in the machine. And COVID helped me because it got me laid off from my tech startup job, and I came back to tennis, and that's what sparked me to do this presentation. Was I left tennis because I was searching for something that tennis gave me all along, and I really want to make it my goal to grow this sport, both for kids and my generation to join this workforce. I was always the youngest in the room when I first started, and I want to see more young people involved in this industry. And I know that if we kind of focus on their nuances, we can make that happen. I think I went a little fast there, but if you guys have questions or feedback, please let me know. My email is devincrotzer@gmail.com, and there's my phone number. You guys can email or call me anytime, and I'll try to get back to you. I have this research can go a lot of different ways, but I'm very humbled and honored to be speaking here, and I really appreciate the opportunity that USPTA has given me, and hope you guys picked up on something.
Devin, good job. Look, I've got something from Danny Tarpley, and he talks about that as far as this generation and their social media stuff, that they are used to getting likes, as there is no dislike or thumbs down button on their social apps. So I guess that's the way that this runs, is our social apps only let us be liked these days.
So the thing with the social apps, and if you talk to the kids, and I've actually done this before, certain people will actually post up things and they have a certain number that they want. So for example, kids will post photos on their Instagram, and if they don't get a certain number of likes within the first hour, they pull it down. They also understand that if they post things on Sunday night, they're more likely to get likes or feedback, because that's when most of the kids are winding down from the weekend and they're on their social media. I mean, there is no doubt that these developers of these apps understand, and it's basically like a dopamine dump. So every time you see a little red dot, you have to click it. So every time you get on Facebook or every time you get on Instagram and you see that little red 1 or 2, you're going to click it to see who liked it and who didn't. So Danny brings up a good point. They are extremely used to getting likes and there's no dislike. However, they do crave that feedback. So whether it's positive or negative feedback, they do embrace it more than we think.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's good. Have another person that just said, hey, great job, go grassroots. I mean, that was Pat Malone that's over in Arkansas. He gave you a big thumbs up. So good job on that.
Love that. Love that.
Looks like says I've got a couple of people that have raised their hands.
Yeah.
Let's see what I do to get them on. I'm not totally sure. I'm looking. Guess they didn't type it in the question, but they wanted to raise a hand. Let's see if I can get it here. Attendees. Nope. I am not seeing actually who raised their hands. I'm not seeing how to do that. So I'm now the moderator of this. So if anybody else has a question, you may punch in a question to Devin. I'm going to give us about 30 seconds if we get any more questions. Devin, where are you working these days?
I'm actually at Bluegrass Country Club, and I'm the assistant along with Joey Hall, who's actually on this presentation as well. And awesome. Then I'm actually doing some part-time work with the USTA as a provider resource coordinator until we get a new TSR hired. Our wonderful TSR, Claire Bartlett, went to Georgia.
Yep, we stole her.
You stole her, so we're working on that, and I'm kind of doing some work with them, getting people on serve tennis, and still out here teaching all levels. I got a question from Dave. Can we get a copy of your outline? Absolutely, and I can give you more information, Dave, on things that are more pertinent to what you need, whether it's students or hiring employees, definitely.